If you ask my family what happened on my wedding day, they'll tell you it was a beautiful mess. If you ask my sister Danielle, she'll tell you it was destiny. And if you ask me, I'll tell you the truth. My sister stole my wedding, and I let her. I'm not saying that like I'm proud of it. I'm saying it like someone who survived a car crash and still remembers the sound of glass. Let me take you back. I'm Lily. I'm 32, a project manager who color codes everything, and the kind of woman who used to believe that if you plan carefully enough, life will behave. Danielle is 2 years younger than me and has the kind of confidence that makes people lean in. The main character energy, the laugh that carries across a room, the ability to cry without smudging mascara. You know the type. Growing up, I was the responsible one, the honor roll kid, the one who apologized when Danielle broke things. Danielle was the spark, the storm, the one who could charm her way out of consequences and somehow make my parents feel lucky to be included. When we were kids, she borrowed my favorite sweater and returned it stretched out and smelling like perfume. In high school, she accidentally joined the same clubs I loved, then somehow became president. In college, she dated a guy I'd liked for months, and when I confronted her, she looked at me like I was the weird one. Don't be dramatic, Lil. I didn't know you liked him. She knew. So by the time I met Ethan, I had one rule. My sister would not be involved in my relationship. Ethan was steady, gentle, the kind of man who asked questions and actually listened to the answers. He proposed at a botanical garden in late spring under a white arch of jasmine. I said yes while crying into his shirt, and for a second, I believed the universe was finally giving me something that was just mine. And then my mom said, "Of course Danielle will be your maid of honor." I laughed like it was a joke. It wasn't. Danielle arrived at my apartment the next day with a bottle of champagne and a planner that said Bride Tribe in glitter letters. She hugged me too tight and whispered, "I'm so happy for you. Like, truly, this is going to be the most iconic day." Iconic. Not special, not sacred, iconic. From that moment on, my wedding became a stage, and Danielle acted like she'd been cast as the lead. She questioned my dress choices, called my color palette sad, and insisted that my vibe needed more drama. She pushed for a bigger venue, louder music, flashier everything. At first, I tried to laugh it off. That's what you do when you're the responsible sister. You smooth the edges so nobody has to feel uncomfortable. But then the little things started piling up. And the little things started feeling intentional. Like the day she convinced me to invite a bunch of her friends I barely knew. Or the time she helpfully suggested Ethan's ex should be invited because closure is cute. Ethan didn't love Danielle's energy, but he stayed polite. He'd squeeze my hand under the table when she talked too long, like he was saying, "I'm here. I'm on your team." I trusted that. Until the night I found the message. It was 2 weeks before the wedding. Ethan left his phone on the kitchen counter and walked into the shower. A notification lit up the screen. Danielle. Can't stop thinking about last night. My stomach didn't drop. It froze, like my body refused to believe what my eyes were seeing. I stared at that sentence until the words blurred. Then I tapped it. The thread opened like a trapdoor. I'm not going to read you every message because honestly, my heart can only relive so much. But I saw enough. Inside jokes, late-night meetups, a photo of my sister's bare shoulder taken from Ethan's bed, and Ethan's response, sitting there like a punch. "Ethan, I wish we didn't have to pretend." Pretend. My fingers went numb around his phone. I could hear the shower running. I could hear my own breathing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the phone. I wanted to wake him up and demand an explanation that would somehow make this not real. But instead, I did something I didn't know I was capable of. I took screenshots. Every message, every photo, every timestamp. Then I put his phone back exactly where it was and sat down at the kitchen table like I was waiting for a meeting. When Ethan came out, towel around his waist, he smiled at me. "Hey," he said, like everything was normal. I looked at the man I was supposed to marry, and in that moment, something inside me went very quiet. I smiled back. "Hey," I said, "we need to talk about the wedding." And as he started explaining the seating chart, I realized two things. 1, my sister had done it again. 2, I was done playing the role she wrote for me. The next morning, I called my venue and asked a very specific question. "Hi," I said, keeping my voice calm. "If I cancel the marriage license appointment, can the ceremony still happen?" The coordinator hesitated. "The ceremony can happen, yes, but legally, without the license, it's not a marriage." I stared out my window, watching cars move like nothing in the world had changed. "Perfect," I whispered. That's when the plan began. Because if Danielle wanted my wedding, she could have it, all of it, just not the part she thought she was stealing. I know how that sounds. Petty, cold, maybe even cruel. But here's the thing about being the good sister your whole life. People get used to you swallowing pain quietly. They get comfortable watching you lose. I wasn't going to swallow this. I didn't confront Ethan. Not yet. And I definitely didn't confront Danielle. Not yet. Because if I did, they'd deny it, twist it, blame me, and go underground. I'd end up looking unstable, and they'd end up protected by confusion. Number 1, I needed the truth to stand in the sunlight. So I played along. I became the calmest bride you've ever met. I answered Danielle's texts with heart emojis. I nodded at Ethan's ideas and pretended to be excited about centerpieces. Inside, I was building a timeline. I booked a new appointment at the courthouse for my marriage license, 2 weeks after the wedding date. Same names, same paperwork, just a different day. Then I did something else. I changed the password on every vendor account. Venue, DJ photographer, florist. I didn't cancel anything. I just made sure I was the only one who could adjust it, because if my sister was going to hijack my wedding, I wanted front row seats. I also called my best friend Marissa. She's the kind of friend who doesn't ask, "Are you sure?" when you say, "I need you to trust me." I invited her over, poured wine, and showed her the screenshots. Marissa didn't gasp. She didn't cry. She didn't even blink. She just said, "Okay, tell me what you need." I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath for years. "I need you to stay close to me on the wedding day," I said, "and I need you to help me keep one secret." Marissa's eyes sharpened. "What secret?" "That there isn't going to be a legal wedding." For a moment, she looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Then she nodded slowly. "You're serious?" "I'm deadly serious." Over the next week, I set up my exit like someone planning a heist. I moved my savings into an account Ethan didn't know about. I printed copies of the screenshots. I called a lawyer for a consultation and asked about separating finances after a broken engagement. "You're not married," she reminded me. I almost laughed. Exactly. Meanwhile, Danielle was in full takeover mode. She started coming to dress fittings to help, but somehow the appointments turned into her trying on bridesmaid dresses that looked suspiciously bridal. She demanded a microphone for her speech and told the DJ right in front of me, "Make sure you play something that lets me get a moment." A moment. Like the rest of the night wasn't already mine. The night before the wedding, she came to my hotel suite with a garment bag. "I have a surprise," she sang. My mom was there, my aunt, 2 cousins, a little bridal party sleepover. Danielle unzipped the bag and pulled out a dress, white, full length, satin, with a slit up the thigh and sparkly straps. My mom's mouth fell open. "Danielle, that's not a wedding dress," Danielle cut in quickly, smiling. "It's just elevated, for photos. You know how cameras wash people out." She twirled like she was already on a runway. My aunt cleared her throat. "Honey, that's very white." Danielle's eyes flicked to me. "Lily doesn't mind. Do you, Lil?" Every face turned to me, and there it was, the old family script. Danielle pushes. Everyone waits for me to smooth it over. My heart beat steady, almost calm, because the moment felt familiar, and I wasn't afraid of it anymore. I smiled. "No, I don't mind." Danielle's grin widened like she'd won something, but Marissa, sitting beside me, shot me a look that said, "Are you okay?" I squeezed her hand under the blanket. Because yes, I was okay. I was watching Danielle step deeper into the trap she didn't know existed. On the morning of the wedding, I woke up before my alarm. Sunlight poured through the curtains. My phone buzzed with messages. "So excited. You're going to be such a beautiful bride." I stared at the ceiling and felt strange. Not joy, not dread, something sharper. Clarity. I put on my robe, walked to the mirror, and looked at myself. "Today," I whispered to my reflection, "I take my life back." Downstairs, the hotel lobby was buzzing with guests arriving early. Florists rolled in carts of white roses. My dad walked in with watery eyes, already emotional. And Danielle? Danielle arrived an hour late, sunglasses on, coffee in hand, acting like the world had been waiting for her. She kissed my cheek and whispered, "This is it, our day." I didn't correct her. I just watched her glide away, white dress bag swinging from her arm, and I thought, "Go ahead, Danielle. Walk into my wedding, steal the spotlight, because in a few hours you're going to learn what it feels like to take something that was never yours to begin with." The venue was a restored stone barn outside the city. Fairy lights, champagne walls, eucalyptus garlands, Pinterest perfect. The kind of place you book a year in advance because love is supposed to be worth the wait. Guests filled the rows, smiling, whispering, fanning themselves with programs that had my name and Ethan's printed in gold. Lily plus Ethan, September 14th. It looked real. It looked like a beginning. Back in the bridal suite, makeup artists circled me like bees. My mom kept adjusting my veil and saying, "I can't believe my baby is getting married." My dad paced and checked his watch like he could control time by staring at it. Marissa stayed close, quiet, her presence like a hand on my back. Danielle burst in with her not a wedding dress, hanging in its own garment bag, plus a second outfit that was somehow even more dramatic, a white blazer dress with pearl buttons. "Just for the reception," she chirped, like it was normal. My mom tried to laugh. "Danielle, you're going to outshine the bride." Danielle winked. "That's impossible." She said it like a joke, but the truth is she believed it. When it was time, my coordinator lined us up. flower girl, ring bearer, bridesmaids. Danielle stood in front of them all like she was supervising an event she'd planned. Ethan was already at the altar. I watched him through the crack in the door, hands folded, jaw tight, eyes scanning the crowd. He looked nervous, but not in a "I can't wait" way, more like a man waiting for a verdict. Then the music shifted, the doors opened, and my dad offered me his arm. "Ready?" he whispered. I looked down at my bouquet. White peonies, soft, fragile. Then I looked at Marissa, who gave me a tiny nod. I lifted my chin. "Yeah, Dad, I'm ready." And I walked. Every step down that aisle felt like walking into a memory that belonged to another version of me. Guests smiled at me with such pure happiness it almost hurt. My mom pressed her hands to her mouth, crying. A little kid whispered loudly, "She's like a princess." I let it wash over me, not because I was soaking in the moment, but because I wanted to remember the exact second my life changed. When I reached the front, Ethan took my hands. His palms were sweaty. His eyes were bright. He leaned in and murmured, "You look amazing." I held his gaze, and I wondered if he understood how close he was to losing everything. The officiant began, voice warm, practiced. "We are gathered here today." The ceremony moved like a song I'd heard 1,000 times. Readings, smiles, little laughs when someone mispronounced eucalyptus. Danielle stood beside me, her smile wide, her posture perfect, like she was posing for a cover shoot. Then came the vows. The officiant asked Ethan to go first. Ethan cleared his throat. He looked at me, and for a second he seemed sincere. "Lily," he said, "from the moment I met you." He talked about my kindness, my patience, the way I made him want to be better. He said words that would have melted me 2 weeks ago, but I noticed something. He never once said he loved me like I was irreplaceable. He spoke like I was a safe place, a good choice, a life plan. The moment he finished, the officiant turned to me. "And Lily, your vows?" I took a breath. I stepped closer, and I began, softly, carefully. "Ethan, I used to believe love was about building something steady, something honest." I saw Danielle's eyes flick to Ethan, then back to me. I continued. "I used to believe that when someone chooses you, they choose you fully." A murmur rippled through the front row, like people felt the temperature shift but didn't know why. I turned slightly, just enough to see my sister in my peripheral vision. Danielle's fingers tightened around her bouquet. Her smile faltered, then returned, too bright. I finished my vows with a line I'd written at 3 a.m. "Today, I'm choosing myself." The officiant smiled, touched. "Beautiful." Ethan squeezed my hands, confused by the tone but too deep in the performance to question it. "Now," the officiant said, "if anyone has any words they'd like to share before we exchange rings." That line is usually ceremonial, a formality. No one expects it to mean anything. But Danielle stepped forward. She didn't hesitate. She didn't look to me for permission. She reached for the microphone like it was always hers, and she laughed, light, charming. "Oh my God," she said. "I didn't plan to do this, but I can't stay quiet." A few guests chuckled, thinking this was an adorable maid of honor moment. My mom whispered, "Danielle, not now." Danielle ignored her. She turned to Ethan, eyes shining. "I'm sorry. I tried to stop it. I tried to let you have your day." "Let him." Then she faced the crowd. "I'm in love with the groom." The air vanished. Someone gasped. A chair scraped. My dad's arm tensed like he might pull me away. Ethan went pale so fast I thought he might faint. Danielle continued, voice trembling in that perfectly rehearsed way. And I think he's in love with me too. She looked at Ethan like she was offering him a door. I'm not here to ruin anything, she said. I'm here because I can't pretend anymore. We can't pretend anymore. Pretend. There was that word again. The same word from Ethan's text. Danielle's eyes slid to me. For a second there was triumph there, like she expected me to scream or slap her or run. The crowd waited for my reaction, and I did the one thing Danielle never expected. I stepped back. I let go of Ethan's hands. I turned toward my sister, and I smiled. Go ahead, I said softly. Danielle blinked. What? I lifted my chin, calm as glass. If you're going to take my wedding, I said, loud enough for the front rows to hear, don't do it halfway. And I reached out and placed my bouquet into her hands.